Namaste, dear Hindu brothers and sisters. In the previous Dharma 100 episode, Yudhishthira's answers to the Yaksha's questions helped us understand how modern Hindus can live a more self aware life. Awareness of thought, awareness of conduct, awareness of the quiet forces that shape our lives. But awareness alone is not enough. Once you begin to see clearly, a new question arises. Can you govern what you see? Modern life gives you unprecedented freedom. Freedom of movement, freedom of speech, freedom of consumption. But without inner discipline, freedom quietly becomes chaos. The Yaksha now begins asking questions that test something deeper than intelligence. This second set of questions, asked by the Yaksha, moves from awareness to self mastery. The Yaksha asked, "What is a man's greatest enemy?" Pause for a moment. How might you answer? You might say competitors, opponents, political adversaries, economic pressures, perhaps even hostile nations. All reasonable answers. But Yudhishthira replied, "Anger is a man's greatest enemy." Notice how different this answer is. Anger does not merely damage relationships, it overrides judgment. Have you observed what happens when anger rises? Speech becomes sharper, decisions become faster, consequences become invisible. How many conflicts begin not with disagreement, but with uncontrolled anger? It is worth asking yourself quietly, when anger appears in your life, do you pause or do you justify it? And if anger governs your speech for even a few minutes, how much damage can it produce? Yudhishthira is not saying anger never arises. He is saying anger must not become your commander. The Yaksha then asked, "What is the greatest disease?" Pause again. What might you answer? Modern minds might think of cancer, or heart disease, or pandemics. But Yudhishthira answered differently. He said, "Greed is the greatest disease." Why call greed a disease? Consider how disease operates. It grows, it spreads, it weakens stability. Greed behaves the same way. When desire is healthy, it motivates effort. But when desire becomes greed, satisfaction disappears. No achievement feels enough. No success feels sufficient. Have you noticed how quickly comparison expands desire? Someone buys a larger home. Someone earns a higher salary. Someone gains more recognition. And suddenly, your own stability feels inadequate. Greed does not arise from lack. It arises from comparison. It is worth asking, how much of what you want did you actually need before someone else possessed it? The Yaksha continued. What is the greatest loss? Again, pause. Would you say financial loss? Loss of opportunity? Loss of reputation? All serious losses. Yet Yudhishthira answered, loss of character. Consider this carefully. Money can be rebuilt, reputation can recover, circumstances can improve. But when character erodes, trust erodes with it. And trust is the foundation of all human cooperation. A person with strong character may face hardship, but people will still stand beside them. A person without character may possess wealth, but people will slowly withdraw. So the Yaksha's early questions in this set reveal something powerful. Anger destroys judgment, greed destroys contentment, and loss of character destroys trust. Self-mastery begins here. The Yaksha asked next, what is the greatest wealth? Pause. Many would answer, property, assets, financial security, influence. But Yudhishthira replied, knowledge is the greatest wealth. Why knowledge? Because material wealth can vanish. Economic cycles shift, markets fluctuate, possessions decay. But knowledge expands your ability to adapt. A skilled mind rebuilds faster than an unskilled one. But notice something subtle. Yudhishthira does not mean information. Information is abundant. Knowledge requires reflection. Have you considered how often people accumulate information without gaining understanding? True knowledge refines judgment. It helps you recognize patterns. It prevents repeated mistakes. So ask yourself, what kind of knowledge are you pursuing? The kind that inflates ego or the kind that refines wisdom? The Yaksha then asked, who is truly wealthy? Pause again. Most people would say, the one who owns much, the one who earns the most, the one with visible success. But Yudhishthira answered, the one who is content. You may recognize this theme. Contentment appeared in the previous episode as well. Dharma repeats it for a reason. Contentment is misunderstood. Many assume contentment means lack of ambition, but that is not what Yudhishthira implies. Contentment means freedom from compulsive desire. You may pursue excellence, you may build wealth, you may grow influence, but if your happiness depends on constant acquisition, you remain restless. Have you observed how quickly satisfaction fades after success? A promotion brings excitement, then a new comparison appears. A purchase brings pleasure, then a better model appears. The mind moves the goalpost endlessly. Contentment interrupts that cycle. It says, I will strive, but I will not be enslaved by desire. This is wealth that cannot be taken from you. The Yaksha now asked a question that touches daily life. What is the greatest duty? Pause. Different cultures answer differently. Some say loyalty, some say obedience, some say service to the state. But Yudhishthira answered, to do good to others. This answer may appear simple, but its implications are profound. Dharma is not merely personal discipline, it includes how your actions affect others. Consider your daily conduct in conversation, in business, in disagreement. Are your actions strengthening trust or weakening it? Even small actions shape society. A promise kept, a fair transaction, a respectful disagreement. These create stability. Civilizations endure not because of laws alone, but because people choose ethical conduct even when it is inconvenient. It is worth asking quietly, when no one is watching, what standard guides your behavior? The Yaksha then asked, what must a person abandon to become loved? Pause. Many might answer pride, or selfishness, or arrogance. Yudhishthira answered simply, ego. Notice the elegance of this answer. Ego constantly seeks validation. It wants recognition. It wants victory. It wants superiority. But relationships cannot flourish where ego dominates. Think about your own experience. In conflicts with family or friends, how often does the conflict persist because neither side wishes to yield? Not because the issue is serious, but because the ego resists concession. Have you considered how many relationships could heal if someone simply said, I may be mistaken? Ego protects identity, but humility protects relationships. The Yaksha continued, what must a person abandon to become happy? Pause again. What answer comes to mind? Possibly stress, possibly overwork, possibly conflict. But Yudhishthira answered, desire. Now this requires careful interpretation. He does not mean eliminating all desire. Without desire, effort would vanish. But uncontrolled desire produces endless dissatisfaction. The mind keeps asking, what next? What more? What else? And happiness becomes perpetually postponed. Have you ever reached a goal, only to realize the mind immediately moved to the next target? Happiness keeps receding. Desire without discipline creates this effect. When desire is moderated, life becomes lighter. The Yaksha asked, what must a person abandon to become wealthy? Pause again. Many might say laziness, or poor habits, or lack of education. Yudhishthira answered, attachment. Attachment creates fear. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of risk. But wealth often requires movement, adaptation, letting go of outdated patterns. Have you noticed how attachment can trap people in situations that no longer serve them? Attachment to status, attachment to identity, attachment to past success. True prosperity requires flexibility. Then the Yaksha asked, what must a person abandon to live peacefully? Pause. What answer arises in your mind? Perhaps conflict, perhaps stress, perhaps ambition. Yudhishthira answered, pride. Pride isolates. It makes learning difficult. It makes apology difficult. It makes cooperation difficult. But humility keeps the mind open. It allows correction. It allows growth. And ultimately, it allows peace. Let us gather these insights slowly. What is man's greatest enemy? Anger. What is the greatest disease? Greed. What is the greatest loss? Loss of character. What is the greatest wealth? Knowledge. Who is truly wealthy? The one who is content. What is the greatest duty? To do good to others. What must you abandon to be loved? Ego. What must you abandon to be happy? Excess desire. What must you abandon to become prosperous? Attachment. What must you abandon to live peacefully? Pride. Notice a pattern. Almost every answer involves self-mastery, not conquering others, conquering oneself. Modern culture celebrates external achievement, status, visibility, power. But the Yaksha's questions remind us that the deeper struggle is internal. Anger, greed, ego, pride. These forces operate quietly inside the mind. If left unexamined, they gradually govern behavior. So it is worth asking yourself gently, where does anger appear most easily in my life? Where does greed disguise itself as ambition? Where does ego prevent me from listening? Where does pride prevent me from correcting myself? These questions are not accusations, they are invitations. Invitations to observe the inner world with honesty. Remember what saved Yudhishthira. Not strength, not speed, not aggression. He survived because he paused. He reflected. He governed himself. Living consciously does not require withdrawing from the world. It requires sovereignty within it. Before your next important decision, pause and ask yourself quietly, am I acting from anger or clarity? From ego or wisdom? From greed or sufficiency? In our next exploration, the Yaksha's questions will deepen further. And now, a brief message. If you believe that honest, research based conversations about Dharma, grounded in our sacred texts, matter, then subscribe to this channel today. Turn on the bell notification and share this video with anyone who wants to seriously understand the timeless wisdom of our dharmic civilization. Meanwhile, carry your heritage with dignity in your thoughts, in your conduct, and wear your cultural and religious markers like bindi if you are a woman, or vibhuti or chandan tilak if you are a man, with pride. Because an informed and confident society becomes a strong society. I will see you again soon. Jai Hind, Jai Bharat, Vande Mataram.